Let's talk for another 5 to 10 minutes. Appreciate that.
I need a couple of meals, send them.
All right.
You look at from here.
All right. Go ahead and get rolling. Yeah, I'll call the meeting to order. As a courtesy to everyone, please take a moment to silence any devices that you have that may interrupt the meeting. Thank you. Good evening and welcome to this meeting of the Mayor and Common Council of Westminster, Incorporated on February 5th, 1819. We gather here at historic City Hall, originally an estate built in 1842 by Colonel John K. Longwell. The city acquired this building in 1939, and it has since been the venue where the mayor and council conduct the city's business. Now, we'll begin, as we do every meeting, with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. The flag is in the back of the room. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. One interesting fact about Westminster is in 1870, the Westminster City Council voted to install gas-powered streetlights, a major modernization effort for the time. This decision not only improved public safety and extended commercial activity into evening hours, but it also marked Westminster as a forward-thinking municipality. The move was part of a broader push by city leaders to bring urban infrastructure to a growing rural town. Moving on, the city typically convenes on the second and fourth Monday of each month. Please note that these meetings are open to the public here at City Hall and are also streamed live on the city's YouTube page, as well as the community media channel and website. We extend our gratitude to the Media Center for their partnership in ensuring public access to these meetings. Copies of tonight's agenda and the entire information packet that this council will be using this evening are available online at the city's website. Hard copies of the agenda are available here in the front of the room for those in attendance. We will start off this evening with our first order of business, which is a public hearing on Ordinance 2601 Site Plan Requirements and Procedures. And in the city of Westminster, public hearings are conducted by the mayor. So, Madam Mayor, the gavel is yours.
Great, thank you, very much, Mr. President. I'll call this public hearing to order. Ordinance number 2026-01, Site Plan Requirements and Procedures Text Amendments. An ordinance of the Mayor and Common Council of Westminster, amending Chapter 164, Zoning and Subdivision of Land of the City Code of Westminster. Article 16, Off-Street Parking and Loading. Section 164-112, Compliance Required, and Section 164-116, Off-Street Loading, to clarify the applicability of our off-street parking and loading requirements to site plan and simplified site plan applications. And Article 21, Administration and Enforcement, Section 164-157, Zoning Certificate, to conform with revised site plan and simplified site plan requirements. And Article 25, Site Plans, Section 164-206, Applicability, Section 164-207, Approval Required, Section 164-208, Contents of Site Plan, Section 164-209, Simplified Site Plan, Section 164-211, Action on Site Plan, to reorganize, clarify, and distinguish between site plan and simplified site plan review, including establishing certain exceptions and fee schedule to update and align fees in accordance with the aforementioned text amendments. I'll ask Mr. Depot for the staff report, please.
Thank you and good evening. For properties located in downtown Westminster, which are developed and proposing a new use or a change of use pursuant to the City of Westminster zoning ordinance requires a site plan and zoning certificate. For many of the downtown Westminster properties, there is no approved site plan on record. Therefore, a property that is developed and proposing a new use or a change in use requires the property owner to submit a site plan or a simplified site plan, demonstrating compliance with the zoning ordinance for review and approval, which can be timely and costly. After feedback from several business owners and property owners regarding simplified site plans for developed downtown properties, the city began reviewing section or Article 25 site plans, Section 164-209, for a possible text amendment, specifically the requirements of a simplified site plan. During this review, it was determined that the entire article actually needed to be further amended. At a January 20th, 2026 Mayor and Common Council work session, city staff presented the draft ordinance amending Article 25. The draft ordinance was further refined based on Mayor and Common Council work session and comments and additional staff research. Generally, Ordinance 2601, simple site plan requirements and procedure text amendment, proposes to amend Article 25, reorganizing the article to provide for better clarification and distinction between site plans and simplified site plans, amend Article 25 to establish intake procedures for site plans and simplified site plans, to define required contents of a simplified site plan, to establish a site plan exemption for properties in the downtown parking area. Amend Article 16, off-street parking and loading, and Article 21, administration and enforcement, Section 164-157 zoning certificate, to implement amendments to Article 25, and to amend the fee schedule to update and align fees in accordance with the aforementioned text amendments. On April 13th, 2026, the Mayor and Common Council introduced Ordinance 2601 and referred the ordinance to the Planning and Zoning Commission. On May 21st, 2026, the Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing on Ordinance 2601, and the Commission forwarded the ordinance as introduced to the Mayor and Common Council with a favorable recommendation. The Mayor and Common Council notice of public hearing for Ordinance 2601 was advertised on May 1st and May 8th, 2026 in the Carroll County Times. And that completes my report, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Is there anyone from the audience who'd like to be heard? Hearing none, we will close the public hearing.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. That was a quick and easy one. Okay, we have no presentations this evening, especially guests, and we have two sets of meeting minutes to approve this evening. We have minutes from the Mayor and Common Council meeting held on May 11, 2026, and the Mayor and Common Council work session meeting minutes of May 18, 2026. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Mr. Dayhoff, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Pecoraro. Is there any discussion regarding the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval of the minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, and the minutes are approved. We have 6 items this evening on the consent calendar. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Dayhoff. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Baird. We will now move on to a vote. All those in favor of approving the consent calendar, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, and the consent calendar is approved. Now we'll move on to a report from the mayor. Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. Just want to start by relating, I had a dream several nights ago that Westminster won the bid for the Olympics in the summer, and I don't wish that upon the city at all. But in the dream, I was scouting out a location for the Olympic swimming pool, and we found ourselves at Medford Quarry with a giant water slide and things. But I woke up a little bit in a panic, but luckily again, it was quite the feat, I think.
I
So
always have trouble differentiating dreams from nightmares.
that was a bit of a nightmare there. So it's been a couple weeks since we last met. On Thursday, May 14th, I attended the annual joint Carroll County and Frederick County MML dinner along with several other elected officials, which was held in Mount Airy, where we were able to spend some time socializing with other locally elected officials from the region. Updates were provided for the upcoming MML meeting, which we will all be attending in the next few days. I want to thank Ms. Impulse and Mr. Summerhill for the tour, and was it Dan? Was also on the tour for the Pure Water Westminster facility on May 15th. While the building was empty at the time we toured it, you can still envision what the facility will look like as the equipment begins to be installed. On Saturday, May 16th, the downtown Westminster Farmers Market opened. The market will run every Saturday from 8 a.m. until noon until the Saturday before Thanksgiving. Please head on down to the market on Saturday mornings and enjoy the best local produce, baked goods, and other items available for sale. Memorial Day was meaningful as we honored those who gave their lives in service to our country. Even with the iffy weather, the parade was well attended and the service at the Westminster Cemetery is always very thoughtful. Over the last week, I was able to spend a little bit of time with Senator Craig Zucker. Senator Zucker has been a good friend of Westminster over the last several years in his assistance in Annapolis in obtaining funding from the capital budget. This past Saturday, I spent a little bit of time at Art in the Park. This juried craft show, sponsored and hosted by the Carroll County Arts Center, showcases local artisans. And to me, this is another one of those early summer events that kicks off the summer season. Coming up in just a couple of days, I will be traveling to Houston City for the annual Maryland Municipal League. I believe the entire council is attending the conference this year, and I'm looking forward to the opportunities to network and learn from other municipal leaders from across the state. And that's my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Appreciate that. Now we'll move on to reports from committees. And Madam Mayor, you're back up with Arts Council.
There's no report from the Arts Council.
Thank you very much. Economic and Community Development, Mr. Huff is under the weather this evening. I'm the vice and do not have a report. We'll move on to Finance. Mr. Pecoraro.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have a couple of items under ordinances and resolutions. The Finance Committee has been working with, and so I will just defer any further comments until we get to that.
Thanks very much, sir. Personnel Committee, Mr. Pecoraro.
I have nothing.
Thank you. Public Safety, I do have a report. Let me get it up in front of me. On May 19th, 2026, the Carroll County Chamber of Commerce hosted its annual Public Safety Awards ceremony, recognizing outstanding service and achievements by public safety professionals throughout Carroll County during 2025. I was joined at that event with our city administrator, as well as, I believe, Councilman Dayhoff and Councilman Bayard. And I know we were all very proud to see several members of the Westminster Police Department recognized for their exceptional contributions and dedication to our community. Communications Specialist Sarah Reed was honored as the Communications Specialist of the Year, and Lieutenant Alan Ecker, even though he was on crutches, was able to make his way up to the front, and he was awarded the Supervisor of the Year award. Two pretty high honors, pretty prestigious. The highlight, however, was Sergeant Jonathan Ray, PFC Nickel Eid, and PFC Barbara Bogan were awarded the Gold Medal of Valor in recognition for their courage, professionalism, and exemplary actions in the performance of their duty. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail, but they basically went into a burning residence at great peril to themselves and rescued a number of people that were inside the residence that had no idea their house was on fire. They were asleep, and they put themselves at great risk and got these people out of that building. And for that, they were given the Gold Medal of Valor. These awards reflect the outstanding commitment and professionalism and service demonstrated by our personnel each day. And we congratulate them and you, Chief, for your leadership. We congratulate the recipients and thank them for their continued dedication to the citizens of Westminster. And that is my report. Now we'll move on to Public Works. Mr. Bader.
Just two quick items. There's a ordinance on the agenda later regarding mandatory sewer inspections. It's a requirement from MDE as a result of our permits. And the second thing is we have a Public Works Committee meeting this Thursday, and we're going to be discussing street lights and related issues.
Pretty good timing considering our my little right?
I don't know if I talk about gas lights.
They would look very cool. Yeah, I think they're very attractive.
Is that old London?
Yeah, exactly. Long enough Jack the Ripper. Okay, thank you. We'll move on to Recreation and Parks. That is me, and I do not have a report for Rec and Parks. Technology, Mr. Dayhoff.
No report, sir.
So let me back up. I do actually have a report for Rec and Clark, so it was not prepared, and I apologize. But we did have a meeting about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and we discussed a number of topics. It was a positive meeting. Ms. Gruber was under the weather, but she still managed to come in remotely, and we got some good things accomplished at that meeting. I apologize. Technology, Mr. Dayhoff, did you say you did not have a report?
No, sir.
Okay,
No
thank you.
report.
And then intergovernmental, again, Mr. Huff is under the weather. Mr. Pecoraro, do you have anything?
I do not.
Okay, then we'll move on to council comments discussion. Mr. Pecoraro.
Nothing from me, Mr. President.
Okay, Mr. Dayhoff.
Any report, sir?
Mr. Huff is not here. Mr. Bayard.
I'm good.
Okay, and I do not have anything. We will now move on to the meat and potatoes of this evening's meeting. We have 5 items before us this evening. Meredith, what is your last name?
McKinnon.
McKinnon. I apologize. I should have had that written down here.
It's okay.
And I don't want to call you Meredith officially.
No.
Ms. McKinnon is filling in for Mr. Whitworth this evening, and she is one of our city attorneys. She'll be helping me with these ordinances and resolutions this evening. So our first item of business is introduction of ordinance number 2026-04. Ms. McKinnon.
That is an ordinance of the Mayor and Common Council of Westminster, Maryland, amending the adopted budget for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025 and ending June 30th, 2026, FY 2026, Amendment number 2.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Director of Finance, Rogers.
Thank you. The city's fiscal year commenced on July 1st of 2025. In accordance with section 20-2 of the Code of the City of Westminster, the city administrator prepared a budget for the mayor to present to the Common Council for consideration. Ordinance number 2025-05, approving a budget for fiscal year 26, was adopted on May 12th of 25 and amended by ordinance number 2026-02, which was adopted on April 27th of 2026. During the remainder of fiscal year 26, the city will incur additional expenses that exceed the current appropriations, and therefore additional appropriations are necessary. In addition, budget amendment number 1 included appropriations for certain capital improvement plan expenditures that required transfers from the sewer and water funds to the capital improvement fund. These transfers are reflected in this amendment as they were inadvertently excluded in budget amendment 1. A summary of the proposed additions is included, and the funding sources are as follows: $232,050 from sewer fund reserves, which are new appropriations, $17,950, which are intergovernmental funds, new appropriations. And then these are the corrections from budget amendment 1. $288,717.80 from water fund reserves to capital, $383,166 from sewer fund reserves to capital, for a total of additional appropriations of $920,883.80. The staff recommend Mayor and Common Council introduce the amended budget appropriations as detailed in ordinance number 2026-04. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Rogers. Let's go ahead and get this item on the floor. May I have a motion to introduce 2026-04?
So moved, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Pecoraro. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Bayard. Is there any discussion related to 2026-04? Mr. Pecoraro, do you want to go first?
Thank you, Mr. President. Much of this are things you've already seen, we've approved elsewhere, as discussing items. Very little new here, for everybody.
Right. Anyone else have any things that you would like to discuss related to this item on the floor? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and call for a vote. All those in favor of introduction of ordinance number 2026-04, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, and the ordinance is introduced. Now we'll move on to the next item of business, which is the introduction of ordinance 2026-05. Ms. McKinnon.
That is an ordinance of the Mayor and Common Council of Westminster, amending Chapter A 175, Fees, Article 1, Utility Fees, Section A 175-1, Utility Fees, Charges and Costs adopted, utility fee schedule established to increase the sewer and water benefit assessment fees.
Thank you. City Administrator Imhoff.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good evening. The Mayor and Common Council of Westminster is authorized under Maryland law to enact ordinances necessary for the government of the municipality and to establish reasonable fees, charges, and rates associated with the provision of public services and governmental functions. Pursuant to this authority, the city has adopted Chapter A 175-1, which establishes fee schedules for various city services and facilities. Following a review of the city's water and sewer utility system's fiscal needs, the city has determined that the current water and sewer special benefit assessment rates no longer adequately reflect the costs associated with supporting these essential public infrastructure systems. As a result, revisions to the existing special benefit assessment schedules are proposed to better align assessment rates with current service and system costs. The proposed amendments are intended to ensure that the city's fee structure remains equitable, financially sustainable, and sufficient to support the continued provision of reliable water and sewer services to the community. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Imhoff. Let's go ahead and get this on the floor. May I have a motion for the introduction of ordinance 2026-05, please?
So moved, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Pecoraro. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Dayhoff. Is there any discussion related to this ordinance, Mr. Pecoraro?
Thank you, Mr. President. As Ms. Impulse, I think succinctly put it, this is something that's important for the city to do because this is really to fund new activity. The critical thing to keep in mind here is that, it's been many years since we've updated these fees. The city during that time period really hasn't had the ability to see a lot of new construction activity because of, our lack of water, right? And the resulting moratoriums that we've had to have in place, and the way we've had to budget water and therefore budget the ability for new construction. While, the additional water, that we're going to have from the, Pure Water Westminster plant isn't going to create, a burst of, new activity. It will allow for new activity. Some of that water we know goes to satisfy other needs and to make sure that we've got sufficient reserves. But we will have the ability for new construction. And so this is an appropriate time for us to be doing this because we will see some new activity. And as we've talked about this in the Finance Committee, and as we've talked about this amongst ourselves in other settings, I think the feeling is that important for new construction, for those who are involved with the new construction, bear the cost of the new infrastructure, the additional cost for water and sewer that the city will have. So that way we're able to continue to keep water and sewer rates low. As we've seen, our increase in water and sewer rates is lower than significantly than the surrounding jurisdictions because this is the kind of planning that we do to make sure that we're going to be able to afford the cost of these of the new growth that we're going to have. So that's why we're doing this. We're looking forward to moving forward with it. We'd like to get it in place as soon as we can so that when the water comes online and we start getting applications, will be in place and people will understand what their costs are up front. And that's always critical for the construction industry. People have a good sense of what their actual costs are going to be and that there'll be a reliable environment for them to work. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Pecoraro. Anyone else want to be heard on this item on the floor?
Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. Dayhoff.
Mr. Pecoraro, when did we last? I looked it up and it's not coming. When did we last amend?
Well, if you looked it up, I didn't look it up, so I don't know, but it's been many years.
It's been many years. Okay, it's been a long time.
I think Mr. Bayard was still
My word.
record planning, so that's been some time, yes.
That's been some time.
It's been a long time. It's
Yes.
probably a little overdue, but
Yes,
I like your explanation.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
President.
Dayhoff. Anyone else, Mr. Bayard?
No, I'm good.
All good? All right. Let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor of the introduction of approving the introduction of ordinance number 2026-05, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. And the ordinance is introduced. Now we'll move on to the introduction of ordinance number 2026-06. Ms. McKinnon.
That is an ordinance of the Mayor and Common Council of Westminster, amending Chapter 124 Sewers and Sewage, Article 8, Administration and Enforcement, to add Section 124-32.1, Inspections, to provide for regular inspections of the wastewater facilities of commercial and industrial establishments served by the city's wastewater system, and providing for fines and penalties for the denial of access for such facilities.
Thank you, Ms. McKinnon. City Administrator Imhoff.
Thank you, sir. The City of Westminster is authorized under Maryland law and city charter to enact ordinances necessary to protect the public health, safety, and welfare, and to regulate activities affecting the city's infrastructure and municipal services. Pursuant to this authority, the city has adopted Chapter 124 of the City Code governing sewers and sewage systems, including provisions for administration and enforcement. The city operates water reclamation and industrial pre-treatment systems that are subject to permits and regulatory oversight by the Maryland Department of the Environment, or MDE. These permits require the city to monitor, regulate, and control discharges into the sanitary sewer system to ensure compliance with environmental regulations, protect wastewater treatment operations, and safeguard public health. Such requirements include the identification and regulation of industrial users, monitoring and reporting obligations, management of fats, oils, and grease discharges, and the prevention of pollutants that may interfere with treatment processes. Commercial and industrial users may be discharging prohibited substances into the city's wastewater system. These discharges could increase operational costs, impair the efficiency and effectiveness of wastewater treatment facilities, and jeopardize compliance with state permit requirements. To address these concerns and strengthen the city's ability to protect critical utility infrastructure, proposed ordinance establishes a program of routine inspections for applicable commercial and industrial facilities and authorizes enforcement measures, including fines and penalties, for individuals or entities that impede or obstruct such inspections. The proposed amendments are intended to support regulatory compliance, reduce operational risks and cost, protect public health and the environment, and ensure the continued safe and efficient operation of the city's water and wastewater systems. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Ms. Imhoff. Let's go ahead and get this on the floor. I have a motion for the introduction of ordinance 2026-06, please.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Bayer. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Pecoraro. Motion's on the floor. Open it up for discussion.
Let me just say a couple of things here. First of all, we're not adopting this ordinance, proposing to adopt it because we have a problem. We're adopting it so we don't have problems, because problems are what cause issues for our operations. We have a unique situation in Westminster. We will, because we have this interrelationship between wastewater and water. What comes into the wastewater can directly impact the water side. So this is very critical long-term that we protect our interests there. The other thing is that these are routine inspections for businesses and industry. They don't affect residential. Residential users aren't covered by this ordinance. It's businesses that may, have some kind of, discharge they have, could be grease, oil. It's to make sure those kind of things aren't a problem for our system. So we would have an inspection, we would provide feedback and give the opportunity for that business to fix the issue.
Thank you, Mr. Bayer. Anyone else?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Bayer.
does this require staffing? Are we going to have to?
Imhoff?
We have.
Yes, it does. The budget for fiscal year 26 includes a new staff member
I thought you
to
said.
include for inspection purposes, and then that will be included moving forward.
And hopefully it'll be budget neutral.
Can you explain what you mean by that, Mr. Bayer?
Hopefully the fees that are brought in by the inspection program will pay for the person. Okay.
I don't think that we anticipated that, no. Hopefully, we won't have very many fees because everyone will
So it's an
be.
unfunded mandate. So
Yeah, we're not, to the best of my knowledge, we're not charging fees for the inspection. We do the inspection because we're interested in it.
Okay, that's a big help.
It's not a charge that we.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr. Pecoraro.
I think the point here is we're seriously, let's save ourselves a lot of time, trouble, and money down the road.
Absolutely.
Is that correct, Mr. Mayor?
Absolutely.
If we're proactive in doing this.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. I have a couple things related to this. And of course, I understand that, you know, we want to take care of our system and I'm all for that. But as both a business owner and an owner of some commercial properties here in town, I do have some questions about this in terms of number one. At this point in time, we aren't charging any fees to have the inspectors go out. I think it's important that we don't deviate from that. I don't think we need to punish every commercial property and every business owner because we may have a few bad apples out there. So I think it's important that, you know, in the coming years, this does not become a revenue generator for the city and a way just to tackle on some fees. Not that we do that now, but I don't want to start. But number two, Ms. Holson, you may not be able to answer this question. So if that's the case, you can get back to me on this when we just because this is going to come up again. This is just for introduction, not adoption. I'd like to understand how we're going to go about this in terms of, you know, tactically. What does this look like? Are we setting someone into somebody's business? Are we opening up the sewer line and capturing discharge? Are we going to be doing it for just just industrial users? I'm assuming restaurants and things like that potentially. Look, we're looking for fat. What about offices? Just somebody who's running an office space. Are they gonna get inspected if they're not, producing anything or manufacturing anything? Really, they just got some commodes and maybe a kitchenette. So I'd like to understand a little better kind of how we're going to go about that before I'm willing to vote for it in favor of it. I'd just like to understand that a little bit better to get a feel for how we're going to do that.
I'm prepared to respond to that now. Would you like to hear it now?
And I'm not surprised.
I'd like to back up and answer the first question about the fees that were asked. This is enabling legislation, so the council can expect to receive, as it does with other departments, a request in resolution to establish fees and fines. For example, if someone is not in compliance with this, what's the penalty for that? So this is not doing that. A later date will do that. Future councils could decide if they wanted to attach a fee to every inspection. That's certainly not what's being considered right now. There are two pieces to this inspection. One will be on a regular basis and one will be on a as needed basis. It's important that we are not arbitrarily making decisions. So that's part of the reason why we'll be doing regular inspections. But to start off with, we have the plant tests the incoming discharge from the system and has a list of potential issues. So we will start with those industries that are related to those things. In industrial is a zoning code that will likely be first on the list as far as checking for concerning items. And those folks will receive notification in advance that we're coming out there. Everyone will receive notification in advance. This ordinance is contemplating the property owner that's not interested in us coming to visit them. And what do we do about that? Right now we go anyway. Many people let us come on their property anyway. We always test in the system. We test at the plant. We test at the property line. We have the authority to do all that. And of course, if the property owner invites us on their property, we have the authority to test that there. Where we're testing, to answer your question, is really going to depend on what the issue is. Can it be determined from the property line? Most restaurants can be. Some of the industrial facilities may have to be tested inside the property. For example, if it's a big warehouse, depending on what the issue is. So we're going to start based on, as Councilmember Bayer mentioned, this is largely driven by MDE and their needs, which are in law and also in the permitting requirements. So we'll start there and work our way backward. We have a lot of users, and we're not necessarily trying to climb this mountain in 1 month. It's going to take us a while to get there. So to finally answer your question, will we get to office users? My guess is probably once every so often. But for the most part, we're going to be looking at higher for the potential of putting things we don't want into the system. We're going to start with that list and be more proactive with those folks.
Makes sense.
Ultimately, we're looking for compliance more than anything. And I feel strongly that this community is going to work with us for the most part. So we just want to put something in place in case that's not the case, but I feel confident that that will be far and few between.
Great. Thank you. It's a great, good answer. Appreciate that. Any other comments or discussion before we move to a vote? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of the introduction of ordinance 2026-06, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, and the ordinance is introduced. Now we'll move on to the next item of business, which is the introduction of ordinance 2026-07. Ms. McKinney.
That is an ordinance of the Mayor and Common Council of Westminster amending the zoning map with respect to certain real property located at the southeast quadrant of the intersection of Maryland Route 140 and Pennsylvania Avenue, designated as tax accounts 07-020430, 07-114443, 07-033338, 07-011490, 07-011482, 07-032471, 07-032455, and 07-044429, and currently zoned R-7500 residential zone to reclassify the property to the PD9 Plan Development -9 zone to develop 20 2/2 dwellings totaling 40 units.
Thank you very much. Mr. Depot.
Thank you. DR Acquisitions LLC submitted a zoning map amendment request along with the required development plan, of which the development plan included a conceptual site layout and architectural elevations for development termed The Willows. The property is located in the southeast quadrant of the intersection of Maryland 140 and Pennsylvania Avenue, and is made up of 8 parcels, as you heard read out. In 2006, the property was annexed into the city of Westminster. The property contains approximately 4.731 acres of land and is located within the W1 water and S1 sewer service areas. On May 29th, 2024, ZMA 2401 was introduced to the City of Westminster Planning and Zoning Commission. On October 17th, 2024, the Commission held a public hearing for ZMA 2401. On April 16th, 2026, following several work sessions reviewing the development plan, the Commission forwarded a favorable recommendation letter for ZMA 2401 to the Mayor and Common Council. As part of its recommendation, the Commission also forwarded option 3, conceptual site layout, and option A and option B, architectural elevations, for Mayor and Common Council consideration. And at this point, staff recommends the Mayor and Common Council introduce ordinance 2026-07 and schedule a public hearing at a future meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Depot. Let's go ahead and get this on the floor so we can have some discussion on it. May I have a motion for the introduction of 2026-07, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Bayer. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Dayhuff. Okay, we'll open it up to discussion. Anyone have anything they'd like to discuss? Mr. Bayer?
So having served on planning and zoning, this is not the first time I've seen this project.
Been around a while.
Yeah, this has been around, I think, as long as I was on the commission. But it was a project that was, went to a number of hearings, work sessions to try to get the project to something that was approvable. And we had great consensus on all the elements until we came to what ended up being, like chocolate, like vanilla as far as the building. So that's gonna be something we'll have to decide, but honestly, I think whatever you decide, whatever we decide is gonna be totally acceptable. And that's why we included both. So, we involved the community and we got lots of feedback from the community as well as, other surrounding property owners. So I think it's, it's a really good plan at this point.
Appreciate that, Mr. Baird. Anyone else have any discussion? I have one question. How are we going to make the decision on which one of these two elevations? Are we deciding that?
Yeah, I was
I
curious.
think that's what the commission is asking, is that the mayor and common council decide if they want option A or option B for architectural elevation.
So I guess my question is, do we do that? And I know I'm not necessarily directing this at you. It might be Ms. McKinnon, it might be Ms. Emhouse, it might be ourselves. But are we going to decide that now during introduction, or we decide that during adoption? Mr. Pecoraro, you're the parliamentarian expert. I guess maybe what's your opinion in terms of when we should try to tackle that? So I'm put you on the spot.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate that. I would think that, before we would want to try and propose a solution either way, we want to hear more conversation about this. And if we're going to have a public hearing on this, I think we're going to wait until
I think
after.
that's sage advice. Good. Anybody else have any comment related to that, or does everyone agree? Perfect. Okay, I think that makes a lot of sense, and that's why I looked. Mr. Pecoraro.
Mr. President,
Yes, Ms. Emhouse.
the staff will give you their recommendation during the public hearing if you'd like.
Okay.
The planning commission has indicated, as Councilmember Baird just mentioned, they're fine with either option. So it's
Okay.
really, of course, you have the power anyway, but it sounds like you also have planning commission support as well.
Excellent. Great. Yeah, as Mr. Baird said, this is, I think this originally started being talked about early on in my time on council. I'm at 18 years now, so this has taken some time to get to the finish line. I'm sure Mr. Bollinger wants to see us get this wrapped up. That's for sure.
I think that's true.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so let's go ahead. Is there any more discussion? Let's go ahead and get this vote taken care of. All those in favor of introduction of ordinance 2607, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, and the ordinance is introduced. And now we'll move on to our final item under ordinances and resolutions, which is adoption of ordinance 2026-01. Ms. McKinnon.
That is site plan requirements and procedures text amendment, an ordinance of the mayor and common council of Westminster, amending chapter 164, zoning and subdivision of land of the city code of Westminster, article 16, off-street parking and loading, section 164-112, compliance required, and section 164-116, off-street loading, to clarify the applicability of off-street parking and loading requirements to site plan and simplified site plan applications. And Article 21, Administration and Enforcement, Section 164-157, Zoning Certificate, to conform with revised site plan and simplified site plan requirements. And Article 25, Site Plans, Section 164-206, Applicability, Section 164-207, Approval Required, Section 164-208, Contents of Site Plan, Section 164-209, Simplified Site Plan, Section 164-211, Action on Site Plan to reorganize, clarify, and distinguish between site plan and simplified site plan review, including establishing certain exemptions and fee schedule to update and align fees in accordance with the aforementioned text amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Cannon. I'm sure no one is happy to see this here for adoption than you. I know you put a lot of time and effort into this, and we're grateful for that.
Thank you.
Mr. Depot.
I have nothing more to add from the public hearing, and staff recommend the mayor and common council adopt ordinance 2026-01, site plan requirements and procedures text amendment as introduced by the mayor and common council.
Thank you, Mr. Depot. I'm going to take one quick moment of privilege and go first. I'm just incredibly grateful that we're here at adoption at this point. I think this is an important piece of legislation for us. And again, I know Ms. McKinney, you and your staff put a lot of time into this. Mr. Depot, Ms. Impulse, I know you guys spent a tremendous amount of time getting us to where we are. This was something that we, we came to you guys and said, look, we got to do. And you guys did something. You brought us something I think that I think works. I think it's a great step in the right direction. It may be a first step. It might be the final step. We don't know. We'll see how things go over the next year or two. But I'm very excited about this ordinance and the hope that it continues to move Westminster in the right direction in terms of allowing continued thriving of our downtown businesses, and maybe moves a few roadblocks out of the way for some folks, particularly related to the cost and time that it takes for the downtown businesses. So I'm very excited about this and really glad to see it here in front of us this evening for adoption. Anyone else have any other comments?
President?
Yes, Mr. Pecoraro.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to note slightly that you played a major role in bringing this issue to our attention and attention for us to try and update, these requirements. I know you were in contact with a number of local businesses who either, experienced some challenges or were looking to do things and were afraid that they were going to have some challenges. And so I'm glad that we're moving in this direction. I think that there's a number of things we need to do, for the downtown, try and get ready for some additional water and for some bigger plans we have for redevelopment downtown. This is one of the things we need to do to get ready for that, along with the sign ordinance we're working on, which will clarify a number of issues there, and some other things that we're trying to do as well. So please move forward with us, and I think that it will create, once again, as we talked about earlier on, create certainty for people, which as they're doing development work or investing in properties, that's really what they want us. So please.
Thank you. Anyone else want to know this?
Mr. President,
Yes.
you have not introduced it. You guys not taken that motion yet, sorry.
Oh, my goodness. What am I doing? Yeah, I'm just so excited about this thing. I'm like jumping out in front of him. So let's go ahead, Mr. Baird, if you'll let me get this on the floor, and then we can continue breaking, so we aren't continuing to break the rules. May I have a motion to introduce 2601, please?
So moved, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Pecoraro. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
That's I'm sorry, is that for approval?
Adoption.
Did I say introduction?
Yes, sorry.
I'm not on my game. Adoption. Thank you. Yes, adoption. Stay up. Do you have the second?
Well, Mr. Baird, agree with that?
No, Kevin's fine.
Okay, we'll go with Mr. Dayhoff. Okay, back to our discussion on the adoption of 2601. Mr. Baird.
Well, definitely we're dealing with this when I came on the council, and it did come together. And it's a proven fact that we do get feedback from business people about what we're doing, what's good and bad. And that's how this ordinance came to be. I think there's so many good things in it, but I think one of the most important things in it is the fact that most of Main Street was built long before there was planning and zoning in Westminster. So if you said, produce a site plan for 300 West Main Street, there's probably not going to be one because there was no requirement. And this ordinance in particular recognizes that and gives those people something that really is important to them, is not to have to go out and create something that was never in existence. In addition to that, it's all the other reforms and things that are happening, I think, are really very, very positive for the town.
Thank you, Mr. Baird. Anyone else have anything? We'll go ahead and get this thing adopted. Very excited about this. All those in favor of adoption of ordinance 2026-01, please signify by saying aye. I'd like to note for the record that I did vote on this one, Mr. Hubbard.
Yes.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, and we have adopted ordinance 2026-01. Good job, folks. Okay, we'll now move on to new business. We have one item of new business, and that's the approval to waive the competitive bidding procurement for good cause and approve the purchase of 4 2026 Ford Police Interceptor vehicles with emergency equipment and exterior markings installed through Hertrix Fleet Services under the Howard County, Maryland contract 4400004546 for a total cost of $306,308.48. Chief Price.
Good evening. In accordance with the police department's fleet purchase schedule, the purchase of 4 replacement police vehicles was approved in the FY27 capital budget. The total allocated in the FY27 budget for these vehicles included the cost of emergency equipment installation was $309,768. Hendrick Fleet Service Inc. has 3 2026 Ford Police Interceptor utility all-wheel drive marked EIUs at a base cost of $46,801 per vehicle, and 1 2026 Ford Interceptor F-150 at a base cost of $49,555. Available under the Howard County contract 4400004546. The total cost per vehicle with emergency equipment and exterior marking is $76,577.12. The total cost for the purchase of the 4 2026 Ford Interceptor vehicles with emergency equipment and exterior marking installed is $306,308.48. Staff recommends that the Common Council waive the competitive procurement for good cause under the City of Westminster Code, Chapter 26, Procurement and Contracts, subsection 36-4, specific regulations, and approve the purchase of the 4 2026 Ford Police Interceptor vehicles with emergency equipment and exterior marking installed through Hendrick Fleet Services under the Howard County, Maryland contract 4400004546 for the total cost of $306,308.48. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Let's see. Let's have a motion for the approval of the waiver of the competitive procurement for good cause for the adoption of purchasing these 4 police interceptors. May I have a motion to approve this?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Dayoff. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Open up for discussion.
Mr. President?
Yes, Mr. Pecoraro.
So just want to note that the reason that we have this good cause waiver process is that, the city of Westminster, although we feel like we're pretty big sometimes, there are levels of government that are much bigger than us, and other municipalities, other, county governments, and state government occasionally, who conduct procurements and they make, the products or goods or services that they're procuring under those processes available to other governments and, in a cooperative way. And this gives us the opportunity to take advantage of the much larger buying power that these other agencies, or levels of government might have. And so it's to the city's benefit to be able to do that on occasion when we have things like this.
Thank you, Mr. Pecoraro. Anyone else? I'd just like to comment that, this is a good chunk of change, and everybody sitting here knows how much I hate spending any money. But this is one time where I think it makes good sense. Public safety, as far as I'm concerned, is probably the most important thing that we do. And you have to have vehicles that are capable of the grind every day. I remember when I was on the job, we would just beat the heck out of these vehicles nonstop. And these are made for that. They have special radiators and cooling systems and equipment in them that make them far more durable than just a standard civilian vehicle. So to your point, I'm glad we're able to piggyback, because quite frankly, I'm surprised they're not more expensive, but I think we're probably getting a pretty good deal on these. If this includes all the equipment, the emergency equipment, the marking, knowing what a new vehicle costs these days, I was a little surprised when I saw this number come in, frankly. It was less than what I would have anticipated. And I think also it's important, that we have this type of equipment for our police officers to be able to do their job. Recently, we hired an officer from Baltimore City, and he told me, he said he could not believe the level of quality equipment that he was issued the day he took the job here. And he was on the Baltimore City Police Department, I think, for 20 plus years. And he said that what we have is absolutely far superior to what they have down there in the city. And I was very glad to hear that. And he was very excited about his equipment issue, and that includes his vehicles. So I think it's important that we have these type of vehicles for our police officers to work in every day. And I'm very supportive of this. So without further ado, all those in favor of approval of this purchase, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. And Chief, you have your 4 new police interceptors.
Thank you very much.
You bet. We'll now move on to departmental reports. Ms. Imhoff.
Thank you, sir. A couple of items for council tonight. First is staff has brought to my attention that item B under ordinances and resolutions that we just introduced relating to benefit assessment rates has a typo at the bottom of the page. It's saying that there are 20 pages of text. There are only 8 pages of text in that ordinance. So we'll correct that before it comes back to you for adoption.
I was going to say something about that, but I didn't want to embarrass anybody. I didn't catch it.
Well, we're missing our eagle eye tonight on council, or else
It's not me.
probably would have been caught right there. I also want to take a moment to thank the planning staff, in particular, our planning director, Mr. Martipo, and also the planning commission. The Willows project, when it initially came forward to planning commission some 4+ years ago, looked very, very, very different than what you are seeing today in front of you. And that is the combination of hard work from the staff and the planning commission, and of course the applicant as well. So it's an opportunity to highlight what that department is bringing to the table. And I think this is a much better and a much stronger project for the area. So I'm gonna take a moment to thank that department. While we're at it, I want to take a moment to celebrate the site plan ordinance that was just adopted today, 26-01. When we talk about innovation, which is of course part of the vision statement for the city of Westminster, we normally think about technology, things like our fiber network, things like our water reuse facility. But the planning department has technology as well, right? The code has technology as well. I'm sorry, innovation as well. And this is what we're talking about. Of course, staff can't take credit for this. We certainly did a lot of hard work to get there, but this idea came from the council, as Councilmember Baird and Councilmember Pecoraro mentioned, in response to some community feedback. But this site plan text amendment is unlike anything I've seen in my entire career. It is transformational for local businesses, I think. And because of that, I would consider this innovative. This is innovation when it comes to the code. That's not something we ever put together 2 and 2. But it's going to matter to the mom and pop businesses on Main Street that are coming forward before us. It's going to matter to the ones that already are down there that want to relocate to a different business, to a different site rather. This is really forward thinking. I want to take a moment for the council to celebrate that and thank all the staff and of course our city attorney's office who worked very hard on that.
You're here, Ms. Olson.
All right, let's go around the room. We will start tonight, as we always do, with the Recreation and Parks Department, Ms. Gruder.
Good evening. We are busy in the Rec and Parks Department with school about to be out. Our camp program will start on June 15th, and that also kicks off our pool opening 7 days a week for operation. Right now, CCPS is still in session. we are only open at the pool on the weekends. So June 15th kicks off a bevy of activity. And to close out that week, we have the Beer and Barbecue Stroll on June 20th. So it's going to be a very busy week for the Rec and Parks Department. We are ready to handle it. And the only other thing that I have to report this evening is that the King Park Pickleball resurfacing project is finally complete. If you remember, way back in October or November, I believe we signed a contract for that work to be done. And I'm happy to report to you today that it is complete and will be open for community use as soon as tomorrow. So.
Thank you, Ms. Gerber. Are there any questions for the Recreation and Parks Department? Hearing none, we will move over to the Human Resources Department. Ms. Brown.
Good evening. Just happy to report that we have concluded our open enrollment season and have had 100% participation and received all of our information back, and happy to be able to continue to share the wonderful benefits that council and the mayor have approved for us to offer to our employees. So thank you for that. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Are there any questions from the Human Resources Department?
I have a quick one. Ms. Brown, has there been some excitement regarding the refund on the healthcare?
Yes, there has been questions to say, you've had this before, but is it really real? And I'm like, yes. So yes, and doing it around this time of the year really helps as well, especially vacation, and especially as costs sometimes increase a little bit, but that offset really has been helpful, and staff have been very appreciative about that as well.
Wonderful. Well, they helped us earn.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to the Technology Department. Mr. Moore?
Thank you, boss. I do not have a report, but I'm here if you have any questions.
Always good when you don't have a report.
I'm trying to through the store.
Mr. Moore has spent a good amount of time this week in a battle with Verizon and a variety of other entities, and we're happy to say he has prevailed.
One comment about guys in his role. Everything is good when everything's working. No, if everything was broken, he'd be making a report. So it says that everything is good.
Exactly.
Thank you. Moving on to the Housing Department, Mr. Brand.
Thank you, Ms. Good afternoon, rather evening, rather. We have been in the midst of getting all of the landlords notified about it's time to renew. May and June is the time, and we got the notices out, emails went to everybody, and so now they're starting to come in, and the staff is trying to make sure that we get everything back out and everybody get their licenses before they expire. At the end of this month, there's a 30-day grace period until the end of July. And if they pay by that time, then there is no increase. If they don't pay by that time, then each month it incrementally increases up to a max of $450 per unit.
What's the due date on those licenses?
Sir?
What is the due date?
The due date is, you have until July the 31st.
Okay.
Okay.
Sending my notes right now.
The ordinance built in a 30-day grace period. Now, just to make sure that everybody, have ample notice. That's when we try to start as early as we do. And then there's a reminder, because some people may just forget. Some people may have the intent and then sit it on the side and then, oh my God, and we'll get some of those, but we work through it. But deadline is July 31st.
I'm just glad we're sending notices out because, we didn't do that at one point in time. And I can tell you, I forgot a number of times to do it. So it's good that we're doing that.
It's been working. And I think a lot of landlords appreciate getting the initial notice and then getting the follow-up in the mail.
Yeah, agreed.
So that's all I have, Ms. Simone.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to the Planning Department. Mr. Defoe.
Thank you. On June 2nd, the Board of Zoning Appeals approved its final decision approving a special exception modification for the Sheets at 1023 Baltimore Boulevard to add 8 EV charging stations. On June 3rd, the Historic District Commission approved the Historic Rehabilitation Property Tax Credit, TC 2603, pre-construction application for 104 to 114 Willis Street to repair the patios and railings on several of the residential condominium units. On April 16th, the Planning and Zoning Commission is scheduled to review an amendment to the Carroll County Water and Sewer Master Plan to reclassify the service area for future to priority for 1199 McGregor Road. This is the future site of the Great Valley Propane located next to the Pub Dog Brewery. And that completes my report.
April 6th.
I apologize for that. It's not an April 16th meeting, I mean, the June meeting. I apologize for the wrong date.
Are there any questions for the planning department?
Thank you.
Hearing none, we'll move on to the finance department, Ms. Rogers.
Thank you, Ms. Imhoff. I do not have a report tonight, but I'm also happy to answer any questions you might have.
Are there any questions for the finance department? Hearing none, we will wrap up with the police department. Chief Price?
Thank you, ma'am. I just want to highlight that WPD is going to be participating in the 2026 Carroll County Torch Run tomorrow in support of Special Olympics Maryland. It's a great event, brings together law enforcement, the athletes, and the community to raise the awareness around the Special Olympics program. Tomorrow's run is going to start from Carroll Community College tomorrow at 9:15. And hopefully we'll be up around McDaniel College around 10:45. So, and then there will be a ceremony to follow just to recognize the athletes. So, if you can come out, watch the athletes, that'd be great. That's all I got.
Thank you, Chief. Are there any questions for the police department? Hearing none, that concludes the departmental reports.
Thank you, Ms. Ingalls. Now we'll move on to our final item on our agenda, which is citizens' comments, during which we invite the public to address the mayor and council on any issues related to tonight's agenda or other city matters. For those not attending this public meeting, we welcome your comments via email at comments@westminstermd.gov. All emailed comments will be shared with the mayor and council. Please include your address and phone number with your comments. We will now invite comments from those present this evening. This is an opportunity for the public to share their thoughts with the mayor and council. Our role at this point is to listen to your comments and respond appropriately after consulting with staff and each other. Is there anyone here this evening that wishes to be heard? Please state your name and address for the record. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I want to find out,
Can we have your name and address, please?
it's Harry W. Dowden, 38 Pennsylvania Avenue,
Thank you, ma'am.
Westminster, Maryland, 21157.
Thank you.
I don't know what people were thinking when they put these great big jumbo trees in the sidewalk. They're messing up the sidewalks. They feel that the people owning the houses should be the ones responsible for it. But they're not the ones who are putting them in the sidewalk. My son just bought a house, sidewalk is up like that. I don't feel he should be the one responsible for that when he's not the one who planted the tree, not the one who voted it in. The original landlord owned it, and it's been coming up before we ever bought it. Couple other things. The sidewalks are being used for cigarette butts. Nobody can go out with a broom and sweep it all up. It looks like a trash yard. I try keeping it right in front of our house as clean as I possibly can. I bend over, up in age, to pick the grass up out of the sidewalk to make it look like a decent place. And I'll also try to get somebody to help me with the landlord that owns the house next door to us. He had bought it, he's a young kid, and that's 40 Pennsylvania Avenue. It's poison ivy. I'm allergic to all three kinds of that stuff. I cleaned the whole hedge going from his side of the yard to ours, the whole way up towards the back of the yard, and never asked him for a dime. I cleaned it all up, wound up almost in the emergency room because I'm allergic to it. But it's supposed to be a hedge, but it's not. It's something you would find out in the woods somewheres. And the person who actually planted it Me and my twin brother tried to explain to her that it's not a hedge. I know what a hedge looked like because when we lived in Hampstead, I used to go out to the neighbors' houses and trim it all up for them and put pillows on it. Hedges are beautiful if they're taken care of right, but this thing has got bushes in it. It's got briary things in it. It's got little trees growing up through it. It looks like, excuse my French, crap. And it's coming out on the sidewalk. He said he was gonna put a fence up, but he didn't. He's gonna get it all cleared up. Nothing's been done to it, and all the times they've had it. And I know it's a young kid, but still, you're renting to a lot of kids. I have more fun with the college kids. They're willing to help you out. And when they start coming in, I say, hey, if you're allergic to poison, do not go by that hedge. If you rub against it, you already got it. And the girl said, what did she just say? Poison ivy. You're kidding. I said, no, ma'am, I'm not. I'm trying my best to do whatever I can, and it don't do no good. People put their trash on their porches. Knowing we got squirrels, we got cats, and stuff like that, and dogs. And it makes the sidewalk stink because the stuff drains out on the sidewalk. But you can't get people to do anything because nobody wants to get out and do nothing anymore. And that's what the biggest problem is. At least I know it's not just Pennsylvania Avenue. It's on other streets, but I'm talking about the one where I live at. If I can go out, clean it all up, I don't know why the rest of it. And they're a lot younger than I am. But I was never taught to be that lazy. So I'm just putting that here. And I've even called, what do you call it, down where the water bills get paid. I talked to someone down there. The code enforcer was going to do something. Whether he did or not, I really can't say. But I think definitely something does need to be done because it's also going right up the siding of the house. I'm pulling it away and I got yelled at by my son. Mom, you know you're going to have poison. I said, I know that. Just went from the doctors, got my medication, starting to get it all cleared up. But I mean, I can't yell back at my son. He knows I'm allergic to. I'm just trying to keep the place looking nice. I just wish everybody could do that, but they don't.
Well, thank you for your comments. We appreciate that. We have
Appreciate
we have
it.
your address and the address of the other properties. So staff's here and I know they heard your testimony. So thank you very much for coming this evening and sharing that with us. And your son's probably right. You should probably take it easy on that poison ivy. Yeah, exactly. Okay, anyone else wish to be heard this evening? Okay. And that concludes our agenda and the meeting. Our next regular meeting will be Monday, June 22nd, 2026. And with